Words spoken in the movie The Dark Knight by character Harvey Dent to Bruce Wayne. That's, of course, Aaron Eckhart to Christian Bale. During a discussion about the nature of heroism and the potential for corruption, these words ring so true today. That line, you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And that defined the movie so well, especially as Harvey Dent, the incorruptible DA, turned into the gang leader Two-Face. But it also fits so well today with the announcement of a third celebrity passing. Now, we say celebrities pass in threes. Deaths occurs in threes. There have been 4 people we talked about who died in the last couple of days, so that myth has been done. 2 of them extremely old people in older times, so they did not get the love that these 2 got, or the 2 we talked about before. But we're not hailing in this trio, in this mini Mount Rushmore, the musical pioneer and star of King of the Hill, Chuck Mangione. While we are mourning his death, we're going to add to the trio of Malcolm Jamal Warner and Ozzy Osbourne for the effect of the third, a rundown of the very complicated history of Hulk Hogan. Born Terry Gene Bollea, Hulk Hogan died today at the age of 71. The wrestling superstar and media personality died after suffering a heart attack, cardiac arrest at his home in Clearwater, Florida. Emergency crews pronounced him dead at Morton Plant Hospital about 90 minutes after arrival on the scene. Authorities confirmed there was no foul play involved. The only foul play you could say is, for the past couple of weeks, there have been people in his orbit, or more or less out of his orbit, who have said Hulk Hogan, Terry Bollea had been in very ill health, including, well, I don't know the names of those folks because there's been a rumor around. But last night, many of his fans, many of his actual friends, including Mouth of the South Jimmy Hart, said, no, Terry's in good shape. Terry's fine. Today, he passed with a heart attack, and we are now talking about him in the past tense at this point. He was a key figure in transforming professional wrestling into the mainstream entertainment. The rock and wrestling world is about Hulk Hogan. He won multiple titles in multiple different types of promotions from the 80s to 90s as wrestling became a national sport or national televised event from various different promotions from its regional sort of life for all this time. Before it was just carnies and folks in different territories running the show. Vince McMahon had an idea to make this national. Hulk Hogan was his vessel, and he made it work. Of course, he headlined WrestleManias, many of them, and especially the big one where he slammed Andre the Giant. He starred in films like Rocky III, and then other films that were more about him and really, really bad. And of course, was a host, was a star, was a member of the cast and the family in Hogan Knows Best, which may have been the real part of his downfall because you got to see more of the real Terry Bollea, and that got way too real, way too fast. The WWE noted that he, to Hulk Hogan, helped the company gain its global prominence. He was the star at the time for the WWF's transition, and he was inducted into the Hall of Fame twice. Now, there's a bit of controversy there, so we'll come back to that, though. Tributes pouring in from around the world, wrestling peers especially, and public figures. Ric Flair, the man who he battled back and forth with either just in general for money and in the promotion itself, praised Hogan's loyalty and compassion. Charlotte Flair spoke of his support during family hardships, especially things with Ric Flair. Vince McMahon labeled him as WWE's greatest superstar ever, and leaders in the locker room and leaders in general, Donald Trump a leader, John Cena a leader in the locker room, Lee Greenwood, Dana White, and many others shared personal stories and anecdotes about their admiration for the Hulkster in his time. But as all our stories we do, there's another side. Flip the coin, and there are controversies. The critical view of Hulk Hogan, the lens we got to see him with the tarnishedness, came from various scandals that were pretty serious. In 2015, he lost his WWE contract after leaked recordings showed him using racial slurs. He later staged a successful lawsuit against Gawker over a sex tape privacy breach, which was somehow funded by Peter Thiel. And somewhere in that line, he got booted from the Hall of Fame. He got reinstated again. That we're not going to belabor that one. But critics argue that the issues like these, and there were many more of them, complicated his impact and his career wrestling and in media, as opposed to the real Terry Bollea. Once you got to know the real guy, you meet your heroes, you get why they say don't do that. At the time of his death, Hogan had some things working. He was cooking up a new real American freestyle amateur-based wrestling promotion to allow NCAA and Olympic athletes to earn some money doing real wrestling. He was the commissioner and was getting some events planned to get things going before he's passing, cut that short. He also was selling beer, which, why not? So, pros and cons looking at the life of Mr. Blia. One of wrestling's most recognizable stars, one of entertainment's most recognizable stars. He did movies, did TV, did all the things to be a famous icon and be in the picture, in the mix. He just unfortunately had controversies like being a racist and doing really dirty, nasty things in private. He helped elevate the WWE, then WWF, also some WCW, TNA as well, if you know about that promotion, and wrestling itself into the heights of mainstream so people kind of understood it and got past the kayfabe stuff, the it's fake type stuff, and made media fun, whatever he did. But he divided people's opinions with his later work, including political endorsements, i.e. the time he spent at the Republican National Convention this last year flexing for Donald Trump. And we'll see what happens with his new venture, whether it actually continues without his name and it does want to go further. But exactly how far it'll go without the Hogan name, we'll see. The death of Hulk Hogan marks the end of a chapter in sports and entertainment, and of course, sports entertainment. Fans and critics alike will continue to debate the full scope of his influence. You've probably seen memes already on the internet about your Mount Rushmore of wrestling, with Hulk Hogan's face definitely being on there because he did it all. Whether all the other members are Macho Man and all WCW or WWE fans, we'll see what happens. But we're going to talk about this for a few days because we'll have to unpack some Hogan. We're not done. We've had to digest and look back and go through the life of Malcolm Jamal Warner and kind of get some of that stuff. We're still doing Ozzy and still kind of figuring out how that impacted a lot of us here. And Hulk Hogan, for the good and the ill, the same treatment will happen. And Chuck Mangione as well. So we will do something to honor him inside of our venue as well. But the official third is actually going to go to Hulk Hogan. Rest in peace, Hulkster. Hopefully in your afterlife, you'll find some peace. You'll find some verity, which is not a word. And you'll be there to, get St. Peter to eat his vegetables and take his vitamins.